Ladies and gentlemen, the truth is no longer avoidable. President Donald J. Trump has just broken his silence, and what he said after the shooter's own neighbor came forward will shake this nation to its core. Now, for weeks, the radical left has been mocking, celebrating, and even dancing over the death of Charlie Kirk. Teachers, professors, and so-called leaders praising an assassination as if it were some kind of a victory. And yet, when conservatives cry out in grief when we demand justice, we're told that we're the problem. But here's the twist, guys. Today, we have a confirmation. In fact, a neighbor of the shooter has just stepped up, and what they revealed doesn't just expose one man's crime. It exposes a whole radical culture that has been festering inside of America's schools, our media, and our politics. Guys, Trump, he is not holding back anymore. From the White House, he's calling this what it is, a line in the sand, because the left wants you to believe both sides are guilty. No, don't go for that. They want you to think that this is just politics as usual. Well, this is anything but that. But when you look at the celebrations of murder on their side, when you listen to the neighbor's testimony about what was happening before the shooting, oh, it's undeniable. We are not the same. So folks, let's go ahead and start with President Donald J. Trump himself. He has finally broken his silence after days and days of watching the radical left celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk. And let me tell you something. This was not politics as usual. I mean, you could hear it in his voice. This was personal. I mean, you heard Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's wife. She said Charlie loved Trump and Trump loved Charlie. This is a problem here. He called it what it was, an attack on not just Charlie Kirk, but an attack on conservatives and on the very soul of this country. President Trump, he said it plainly. He said, we're dealing with a radical left group of lunatics. They don't play fair. They never did, and they never will. And you know what? He's completely right. This isn't just about one tragic assassination. This is about a culture of hate, a culture that mocks death while pretending to preach tolerance. Then the real bombshell hit, because just when the media thought that they could spin this as random or some lone wolf, a neighbor of the shooter came forward. And what this neighbor revealed, this is going to blow the lid off of everything. If you guys appreciate the updates, hit the like button and subscribe. Okay, so according to the neighbor's testimony, in the weeks that were leading up to the assassination, there was constant traffic in and out of the shooter's residence, cars with out-of-state plates, people who didn't give off a very good vibe, according to the neighbor. This wasn't one isolated man snapping, okay? This looked like a network, like planning, like some kind of coordination, and it didn't stop there. In fact, that same neighbor confirmed what many of us had already suspected. The shooter wasn't living alone. He had a roommate, and not just any roommate. Reports confirm it was a transgender partner, now supposedly cooperating with the FBI. Now, think about that, okay? While Charlie Kirk was warning America about the dangers of left-wing violence, his assassin was shacked up with someone immersed in the very ideology that would be fueling it. And so now the neighbor's confirmation ties it all together. So here's the question we all have to ask. Did the shooter really act alone? Or was this part of something bigger, something darker, and far more dangerous than the media wants you to believe? Because let me go ahead and tell you something here, guys. When the neighbor says, I saw cars with out-of-state plates, I saw strangers going in and out before the assassination, that doesn't sound like a random act. That sounds like coordination. That sounds like help. That sounds like he wasn't alone. This sounds like a cover-up waiting to be exposed. And so, once again, President Donald Trump, he said it best. We are not the same. While our side is grieving, praying, demanding justice, their side is silent or just outright celebrating. Now, let's go ahead and take it just a little bit further here, okay? Let's talk about the hypocrisy divide and the shocking behavior of leftist teachers and professors who openly praised Charlie Kirk's murder. I can't even believe that these people have done this nonsense. Because if you thought that the neighbor's confirmation was disturbing, wait until you hear what's happening in America's classrooms. Now, smart retirees, they know one thing, and well, they know more than one thing, but they know one really important thing. You don't gamble with your Medicare. In fact, you get educated. You review your options and you check and you protect your future. This is why so many people are calling Chapter. In fact, they give you the facts about Medicare, and Chapter lets you make the decision that's right for you. Now, one of my viewers said it best. Chapter didn't pressure me. They educated me. That is why I trusted them with my Medicare plan. I love it. So let me go ahead and ask you guys, when the smart choice is obvious, do you want to ignore it? Or do you want to do what most people already are doing? Now, most people, they're calling the phone number at the bottom of your screen right there, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. The telephone number on your screen, 909-563 888-8279. Totally free call for the Ron Yates community. And when you guys call, tell them Ron says hello. Those are my friends over there. So here's where the hypocrisy begins to be unbearable at this point. Because when conservatives across America are mourning, crying, holding vigils, and calling for unity, the radical left is doing the unthinkable. They're mocking, they're laughing, they are celebrating. I mean, they say, oh, tone it down when they demand justice, okay? But what do they say when their own people openly praise a political assassin? They say nothing. Not a single word of condemnation from the so-called leaders of the Democratic Party. Yeah, silent at best, celebration at worst. So folks, we clearly are not the same. When tragedy strikes their side, we send prayers. They send hashtags. When tragedy strikes ours, they send dancing TikToks and memes, and they lecture us about how we had it coming. It's freaking disgusting. Oh, and let me show you how deep this goes, guys. The rot goes very deep because these aren't just anonymous trolls online. These are teachers. These are professors. These are people who are entrusted in shaping our minds. You see how big of a problem this is, right? And what have they been caught doing? Praising a shooter. Can you believe this? Now, one community college professor in North Carolina was filmed in front of her own students saying, "I'll praise the shooter. He had a good aim." What in the world, guys? Can you believe this? Now, imagine sending your kids to class and hearing a person with the chalkboard call an assassin karma. Let me know. Would you yank your kids out of the school? If you would, just drop a yank in the comments down below because this is completely absurd to me. Now, another teacher in Massachusetts went viral after she posted a video of herself literally dancing and singing God Bless America with the TV behind her, flashing the headline that Charlie Kirk was dead. She zoomed in on the word dead like it was some kind of a joke. What kind of sick, twisted person is this? And then in South Carolina, he had a high school teacher that was fired after posting thoughts and prayers to his children, but America is better off today. Fired. I mean, is anybody else happy that these folks were fired? If you are, drop a fired in the comments, guys. But only after his words went public was this person fired. So this is what the left doesn't want you to see. These are not fringe nobodies on Twitter. These are educators. These are people inside the classroom. Hey, I mean, heck, your kids may be in the classroom with a teacher who's doing this to your kids. I'm just saying it's possible. They're influencing the next generation of Americans, and this is sickening and it's scary. They are the same ones that are smirking, cheering, and saying the shooter did the Lord's work. And yet they want us to believe both sides are the same? No, absolutely not. We grieve, they celebrate. We demand accountability, they hide behind silence. So folks, I'm going to tell you right now, when the classroom becomes a breeding ground for hate, when the people who are shaping your children are openly praising assassination, you no longer have an education system. You have an indoctrination factory. That's why tonight, I'm going to go ahead and say it again. We are not the same. Now, of course, we need to talk about how this tragedy has sparked something even bigger. In fact, this is the push for Charlie Kirk Act. Okay. I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but this is the push for the Charlie Kirk Act to hold lying media accountable. And this is why President Trump's reaction shows that this fight is only just beginning. And folks, this is really where the story takes a turn, because out of the grief, out of the chaos came a voice that went straight to the top. A young woman recorded a very simple 2-minute video. And in this video, she begged President Trump to create what she called the Charlie Kirk Act. Her idea to finally hold the lying media accountable, to slap fines that are so heavy on news corporations that spreading dangerous propaganda would also bankrupt them. Can I get an amen for that? And guess what? President Trump saw it. He didn't just see it. In fact, he reposted it on Truth Social. Millions watched it. And this tells us one thing. Oh, Trump is listening. Now think about the power of that moment. You have a grieving supporter calling out for change, and the president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, amplifies her voice. That's not just politics. That is leadership. That is a signal that maybe, just maybe, we're on the verge of holding these media liars responsible for the chaos and hatred that they've unleashed in our country. Because let's not sugarcoat this. Charlie Kirk, he was painted for years by the press as a fascist, a Nazi, a bigot, the same exact labels that they throw at Trump, at you, at me. And those labels, they weren't harmless. They built the climate where some twisted soul decided to pick up a gun and decided murder was justified. Guys, that is media blood on their hands. Okay. Now, here's the real kicker. As the left tries to spin this as some kind of a lone wolf situation, we all know better, right? You guys know he didn't act alone, right? I mean, the shooter wasn't living alone. Reports confirm he was living with a transgender partner who is cooperating with the FBI. Oh, and it gets even worse. Guys, the shooter's own neighbor, and in fact, you really need to check out my previous video on this. I went into all the details that the transgender roommate is leaking to the FBI. But anyway, check that video out after this one. But the shooter's own neighbor confirmed suspicious activity, people going in and out of the home, cars with out-of-state plates, meetings behind closed doors, weeks before the assassination. And there's a whole lot more to it than that. Now, ask yourself, does this sound like a random spur-of-the-moment crime? Or does it sound like organization? Does it sound like influence? Does it sound like a network? Yeah. And yet the partner who lived under the same roof wants us to believe that they had no idea this was about to happen. Really? Living together, seeing him every day, watching the planning unfold, and you had no idea? Folks, don't buy it. I mean, I don't buy it. I ain't trying to tell you what to think, but I don't think you should buy it either. I'll just tell you that. So this isn't just about one man pulling the trigger. In fact, this is about the radical culture and the networks that fed him the poison, gave him cover, and maybe even encouraged what he did. So once again, it all circles back to that one undeniable truth. We are not the same. Now, let's talk about what the neighbors saw, okay? Because their confirmation is where this entire case flips upside down. 2 weeks before the assassination, multiple people reported seeing cars with out-of-state license plates pulling up to the shooter's townhouse, strangers coming and going at odd hours, and the word that they used to describe it, they said, well, they didn't give off a good vibe. Now, folks, that doesn't sound like someone quietly planning alone in a basement. It sounds like coordination. That sounds like meetings. That sounds like a network. And yet the media won't touch it. They just keep saying lone gunman while neighbors are out here saying, no, something bigger was happening. Now, also, I want you to ask yourself this. Who were these people? Why were they there? I mean, like, what role did these people play? And more importantly, why is the media so desperate to pretend that it never happened? And why do they want us to think that it was a lone shooter situation, a lone wolf, right? You gotta wonder. Now, here's what really makes this even more concerning, because Charlie Kirk himself, before his death, was warning us about this exact danger. He told audiences again and again, when people stop talking, that's when violence happens. That's when civil war happens. That's when the other side loses their humanity and decides you don't deserve to live. He said it. He lived it, and tragically, he died from it. And so it wasn't just some vague warnings. In his final text, Charlie was pressuring leaders like Governor Kristi Noem, demanding accountability for sanctuary cities and radical mayors who allow chaos to reign in their cities. He was fighting until the very moment to, I should say, his very last moment, to protect Americans from violence. So it's almost like he saw the storm building before the big thing, before it hit, right? The indoctrination in the schools, the silence from the Democrats, the growing acceptance of violence against conservatives. And he was right. He saw it coming. Charlie Kirk's last words to America were not about fame or fortune or politics. They were a warning about violence from the left. And now that warning echoes louder than ever, because everything he predicted, everything he tried to stop, this is playing out in front of our very eyes. And the neighbor's testimony proves it wasn't just theory, it was reality. Now, folks, if you think that the story ends here, you're totally wrong, because out of this tragedy, something bigger has been awakened. Vigils, chants, a movement that refuses to be silenced. What I want to talk about right here is about how America's rising, how Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's wife, is now carrying the torch, and why this assassination may have just backfired in the worst way for the radical left. So here's the part the media doesn't want you to see. Out of this tragedy, out of this assassination, something has been unleashed in America, across the country, across from coast to coast, even across the oceans. Okay, we're talking vigils are rising up in New York, in the heart of a deep blue city. Thousands gathered, chanting in unison, Charlie, Charlie. The night sky lit up with candles, with cell phones, with prayers. It wasn't just a crowd, it was a movement. Did you guys catch any of the vigils that were broadcast live on YouTube? Let me know if you did or not. Let me know if anyone has made a contribution to Charlie Kirk's family. I certainly hope that we can continue to support his family, because she shouldn't have to want for anything, and neither should his kids. I personally did make a contribution, by the way. If you can, you can. If you cannot, that's cool too. But I just thought I would kind of put the message out there, just because a lot of people leave super chats and stuff for me, and I really appreciate that. But I would actually rather you guys, instead of super chatting me, super chat at Charlie Kirk's channel. Like, seriously, I really would appreciate you guys helping those guys out. I appreciate that. Anyway, so then of course there's Erica Kirk, right? So Erica, she's strong, she's unbroken, and she's looking right into the camera and she's declaring, "You may have killed the messenger, but you will never kill the message." Now, folks, you could feel the electricity there. You could feel that line slice through the fear, right through the grief, because that's what legacy is. Legacy is when your voice carries on long after you're gone. And Erica made sure Charlie's message will live forever. Meanwhile, what's the left doing right now? Teachers are praising a shooter. Professors are saying good aim. Activists are laughing on TikTok. It is the sickest contrast that you can imagine. And once again, we are not the same. But here's the thing, guys. This isn't just about vigils. This isn't just about the chants. This is about action. Stephen Miller came out swinging, and he's not conservative. He said Charlie's last message to him was clear. We must dismantle the radical left organizations that are fermenting violence in this country. Now, Stephen Miller, he didn't mince words, okay? He promised under President Trump's leadership to use every tool of the left to crush these groups. RICO charges, conspiracy charges, domestic terrorism charge, whatever it takes. He said flat out, you will not live in fear, and they will live in exile. Now, he's right, because Matt Walsh is saying the same thing. He called left-wing terrorism the greatest threat to America today. Not ISIS, not AI, not Al-Qaeda, leftist violence right here at home. And President Trump, he made it clear. These radical left lunatics have poked the sleeping giant one too many times, and now justice is coming. Now, I said Stephen Miller is not I said he's not a conservative. I was actually thinking Stephen A. Smith, my bad. Stephen A. Smith is not conservative, but even he came out guns a-blazing and condemned the radical Dems for their celebration of Charlie Kirk's death. It's just asinine. It really is asinine, guys. So I want to go ahead and ask the question that nobody in the media wants to touch, okay? Do you honestly believe the shooter's partner didn't know? Do you honestly believe the neighbors who saw the cars with out-of-state plates, who saw strangers coming in and going for weeks, had no idea what he had planned inside of that townhouse? Because I don't personally buy it, and I don't think you do either. Now, something darker is at play here. A network, a culture, a machine that feeds on hatred, indoctrinates our children, and cheers when conservatives are silenced, even by death. And yet, we're supposed to just sit here and accept the false narrative that this is just politics as usual. No, absolutely not, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not the same. While they cheer in classrooms, we pray in churches. While they mock death online, we light candles in the streets. While they're out there celebrating violence, we demand justice. And this is why President Donald J. Trump is right. This is not just about Charlie Kirk. This is about the future of America. It is about whether we let the radical left keep their fermenting violence, or whether we finally take a stand and dismantle their networks once and for all. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave you with this, guys. We honor Charlie Kirk and his wife, not by staying silent, not by shrinking back, but by carrying forward his message, by refusing to bow down to propaganda, by standing shoulder to shoulder as Americans and saying loud and clear, you may have killed the messenger, but you definitely will never kill the message. And so with Donald J. Trump in the White House, make no mistake, the truth will be unleashed, the radicals will be exposed, and America will rise stronger than ever. Like, subscribe, share this video, because the fight's not over, guys. In fact, it's only just beginning.